Okay, so let's talk about this one. So f of x is this kind of funky looking thing. And then g of x is e to the x, right? Okay, first, I just want to talk about a rule. That first function, what can I not do that you're very tempted to do? I guess you already know you can't do it, so you don't know what I'm talking about. Well, square roots cannot go across addition and subtraction. Okay? So that's just the thing I want to remind you of. So just kind of as an aside down here, you can do square root of a times b. You can do that separate. Okay? What you can't do is addition and subtraction. That right there, you're stuck. Okay? That's why that first function looks like that. Okay? So just remember, you can only split roots across products, right? Or division. All right, so we got these two guys, and the first question is f of g of x. All right? So sometimes I think we get confused by the fact that we see x everywhere, but the thing you should just be thinking is, let me write f off to the side up here. I'm going to just forget about f for a second. Think of f as a machine, okay? F says, give me blank, okay? And I'm going to square blank. Then I'm going to subtract 1, and then I'm going to take the square root. My uncle used to do this math trick to me that really was just algebra, but he would say, pick a number, and then he'd tell me to do all these things, and then he'd guess my number. But really, he just used a bunch of algebra to figure it out. That's exactly the same thing, where I'm telling you to do one step at a time. Square it, and then subtract 1, and square root it, okay? What is going into the f machine right now? G of x, exactly. And g was what, e to the x? So I need to take e to the x and plug it into the f machine, right? So this needs to be square root e to the x squared minus 1, right? And you can simplify this a little. The square root is still across a subtraction, but remember, if you take something with an exponent and then you take all that squared like we did, that's e to the 2x, okay? So if you take a to the b and you square that whole thing, then you can just take 2 times x, okay? You don't have to do that. If you understand the first line, that's fine. Later, it might be simpler for your own sanity to do it. In this class, my philosophy on simplifying is just do what is convenient for the problem you're doing. All right, so that's the first way to do it. The second way is g of f of x. Well, first, are there any questions on this one? All right, so let's do it the other way. The g machine is to take e to whatever you're given, right? And I'm given this more complicated thing here. F is this thing, right? And that step I just wrote is entirely unnecessary, but for me it just helps to see that's really what's going in the G. Because, let's be honest, the first line just looks like a garbage pile of parentheses. So we take e to this, right? And that's the function we end up with. Okay, so all of that is in the exponent. It's kind of a convoluted looking function. You guys okay with that? So the actual process to do the algebra for these isn't too bad. You just replace the x's in 1 with that whole other function, right? Okay, so let me stop this and then let's look at Desmos.